someone in mind already, or what process will you use to find people?
Scramble.
Worked so well in the past.
So, and one of the things, like I said, meeting with this gentleman tomorrow that has resources that he could let council know that are available in the surrounding cities that are willing to step up. SBA is having their city managers meeting. They also are putting a request out if they have people that are available on a short-term period, short-term basis, interlocal agreement to provide services to Pacific to get us going again. So those are some of the places we've reached out to. Auburn, King County. I'm going to talk to this gentleman to, if he does have resources, that kind of ties us into other cities, and again with the Sound Cities Association.
And for the interns that you mentioned, they have actual people they're willing to send down, or they have job descriptions and resources to find?
They have people that are available at those two different job descriptions. They also, if we are interested, they just turned out some interns in their HERO program, and basically it's a veterans program. These people have interned for King County. They've finished their internship and are qualified now for those type of positions as well. That it just finished this internship, and it's called HERO. I can't remember what the acronym stands for, but I was talking with Dan Constantine last Wednesday about, he was telling me how they have people that are available that has been some of that training. Councilman Tiger?
I just sitting here thinking that as far as in the finance department at the present time, I think we need to get with our acting finance director we have right now and have her highlight what type of assistance we need to get for her. And go out in those avenues and try to fill. I mean, if she needs somebody to do some filing, we don't need to pull somebody out of a finance department someplace. We get some input. At this point right now, I don't think any of us have really gotten any input from her as to where are the areas that she needs help, because we've all been in a situation where it's the mayor's job, not ours. So.
And you're exactly right, and that's one of the challenges that at least I've tried to struggle with is we want to get as much of a running start to this process as we can, but we have absolutely no authority to do that until, the mayor's going to be mayor until he's not mayor anymore. And, in its most technical sense, the mayor should be granting authority for us to go meet with the department heads to do that. I think it's been a little out of communication recently, but that's the awkward part, is that unless and until I get the opportunity to do that appropriately between now and when the mayor is no longer in office, we've just got to wait. And then as soon as that moment hits, as soon as King County certifies, unless there's a dramatic turn in the ballot returns, as soon as they certify the recall, and we get notice everything, Leanne's going to be there, to put eyes on that piece of paper, and then let me know, and I'll be here. I'll get the department heads together and find out, what are the top 3 issues in your office. Give me an inventory, give me a list of needs, and we start getting through this stuff. We start executing those ILAs and getting bodies in the door so we can do that. But it's an awkward time. We're all revving our engines, but we're stuck at the starting line until something goes.
That's right. Yeah. Another thing I think, I'm just going through here, that there was a target date going out here of a possibly special meeting on the 11th. And I would say that is totally premature, because right now, as much as you want to run, but you can't get everything started and immediately and 2 days later run. So we have to have you in place. If you're going to do this, which you're right now, you're the only person that can do it. So you're going to have to do it. We're going to have to hang in there and get things rolling. Might take a couple of weeks, but get things lined out and get them rolling. Because we can't just 2 days later, whoop, he's gone now, and there's somebody new, and we start this program all over. It won't work.
So I think you raised a good point. But unfortunately, some of that's not up for debate because I leave for Texas. Well, I've got work commitments the first 2 days of that next week, and then I leave for Texas for a week and a half. So the ability for me to be around just isn't there. I have taken and planned to be out of the office that entire week, and hopefully we've got time. If we can call a special meeting that Thursday, we can have the newly appointed mayor in the office Friday, and I can be there all day to catch up and assist as much as I can. And then, once that, and I think we've got specific days also that weekend, and once that next work day hits, I'm gone for almost 2 weeks.
So that Thursday, Clinton has fire authority, so it needs to be, if you want that here.
So a later meeting is,
6:45 or 7. And then our meetings are like 20 minutes.
so if we made this special meeting at 7 o'clock, then that means you would be Councilmember Holstein.
I might remind the council that in the absence of the mayor pro tem, the president of the council takes over.
Councilmember Putnam.
That's true, but I think we want to avoid having 2 interims before a permanent position if possible. It seems to me that if we could have a smooth transition just once, rather than having the mayor pro tem for a week and then the president of the council for 2 weeks and then pass it off to whoever becomes the mayor, seems like as few a transitions as possible would promote the most stability to me.
Councilmember Walker.
Is there anything to say that we can't start the process now, or accepting applications, or whatever the plan is? Because we can start reviewing them now, we can start
Applications
for mayor.
okay.
If that's-
Councilmember.
Yeah, that's one of the things we talked about, because we had originally talked about, do we call a special meeting for Tuesday the 9th? And day of certification is the same day that we appoint a new mayor. There was some thought, and disagree with me if I'm wrong here, but there was some thought about as much as we can announce, do kind of a contingent announcement, say, it sure looks like that Mayor Sun's going to be recalled. It takes effect. The recall takes effect on the 9th of July. Keep an eye on the news. If you see that it is certified, then put your stuff in. We thought we ought to get at least a full business day in between the day of certification and the day that we want to make the appointment. But I do intend to get something out. And back to my answer to Clint's point is, how do we really get something like that out while we still have a mayor who has full authority as mayor?
Councilmember Walker.
So, the way we've done this in the past with council positions was it was advertised, if we decide to open up to the public, it's advertised, applicants are interviewed in council, there's an executive session to discuss qualifications, and then a vote is done. So, when does that process happen between the 9th and the 11th?
I think our expectation was that process that you just described would all happen on the 11th. And we would try to get word out and get applications in from whomever is qualified and interested, get those in, have a stack of them, and as soon as it's reasonable, I haven't thought enough about it to decide whether or not we send those out to council as they come in, or you wait until the end of business on certification day, and then you do a supplemental the next 2 days, so council's got as many applications as there are. But I think it was our expectation that Thursday, the 11th, council sits there and maybe council makes a decision that they they select the top 3 or the top 5 or the top 10, depending on how many there are, of how many they want to interview. What we've found through research and questions, particularly to MRSC, is there's no particular process on how that needs to take place. All there needs to be is an action by council to appoint a mayor. We can make it as quick or as long as we want. We can make it as open or as exclusive as we'd like. I think there's a community benefit to making it fairly open, and also a community benefit to making it fairly quick. And so that's kind of where we're thinking. The onus is going to be on council that night to sit through the candidates and find the best one in a short period of time.
One concern that had been mentioned to me on accepting applications, as far as I know, it's a hypothetical situation, that current employees who might be interested would perhaps be reluctant to officially submit an application for a position that's currently held by someone who has the authority to fire them. That it's for the sake of fairness and openness to the employees, that we should be able to accept applications after any recall takes effect.
But that would be a conflict of interest unless they resign their position. Because they can't be the boss and work for themselves.
Oh, I understand that, but if they wanted to apply and not be fired if they weren't selected, they might be reluctant to apply until after the position was actually available. There's some concern that someone might apply and be terminated before the certification of the election.
That's removing the conflict before the conflict arrives.
Removing the conflict even if they weren't the chosen candidate. And again, as far as I know, that's hypothetical, but
Any other comments?
So back to, I think, Trent's question about the solicitation and the process for that, any input for us about how we do that?
I would suggest, since we have, I believe, on the city website, an application for appointment to vacant board and committee positions, that would be a good place for people to start, and people can certainly start preparing an application or even submitting them now. I would assume we'll accumulate them already to be delivered to council when they are appropriate.
Is that the consensus that we want to open it up to everyone? The concern I have with that, and I'm fine, but in selecting them in 2 days, I have real concern with that. People had weeks to read letters that were handed out, attend candidate forums for when the mayor was elected, and research candidates. And we have 2 days to read a bio and interview them in council, and then pick the next mayor. That's not enough time. We're going to wind up in the same type of situation, or can wind up in the same type of situation. Or just someone that has absolutely no executive experience, but interviews really well and has a great resume.
The process relies heavily on the judgment of city council members.
It's time to find a new mayor pro tem.
Hey, I will remind you that there was one of us who voted against my appointment as mayor pro tem. And one of you who nominated me.
I'm willing to admit when I'm wrong.
Councilman Cybert.
Seems like we have a little bit of confusion here, just what to do and when to do it. What would be wrong with scheduling a special meeting every night of that week, from the 9th through the 11th, and we can cancel them if there's no reason, the reason doesn't come up to have them, so we can work on everything on a daily basis rather than 3 days here and there. So we ask for applications to begin by the 9th. We could review them on the 10th. We could do some further research, and go on the 11th. I mean, we got, as long as we do the appropriate scheduling.
So, Betty has a suggestion? Could you speak up, please?
If you want to do it every night, then continue the meeting on Monday night. Well, I know, but I'm just saying, rather than a special meeting every night, you have to have an agenda posted and advertised.
Yeah, and we'd be limited to the agenda for special, well, we just say.
Well, yeah, but you would be very limited on a special meeting, and if you continue your regular council meeting, kind of like you do with the budget hearing.
So Monday's meeting or is it Monday? Or the ninth?
Continue for the next day,
Yeah, just each night we could continue to the next.
What items do we have on that 11? We
I
have
would-
to know what item we're gonna have on that.
I would guess we would only be continuing it for the purpose of considering selection of the next mayor.
Yeah.
And if we don't adjourn, we can always modify the rules and add an agenda item, or suspend the rules and add an agenda item.
Yeah,
That's true, we can,
yeah,
Or we can't, special meeting, that's a good idea.
that's a great idea.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
So then, Monday's meeting, we'll just continue for the night.
Or whatever day you want to do.
Councilmember Smith.
So I like that idea, that, thinking about the comment that Leanne just made, of I can't be there every night. What happens if we continue it to a night and we don't have a quorum?
Just move it on to the next night.
We can't make a motion without a quorum.
Yeah. So I suppose, I mean, if we were to, I mean, we could ask this question Monday night.
Yeah, we could ask each night. There you go.
Ask the question Monday night,
Yeah.
okay, how many people are gonna be available for the night?
Yeah, take a roll, take it.
So that we know we would have a quorum, if not, we just move it to the next. I don't have to go to the PIC meeting on the 10th.
So is council, sorry.
Go ahead.
So is council comfortable with me working with Pacifica to draft up, using the, I think you suggested the appointment form that we have now, to draft up some kind of a solicitation, make it contingent upon certification, and ask that those applications be in by close of business on the 11th or noon on the 11th, and then as we get those in, and when we continue the meeting each night, we can do some format of, interviewing folks. We do a round robin, we each get to pick one person to interview for that night, or, however we would figure that out.
How would we contact them on, okay, you need to be here on the night for interviews, right?
Hey, I think, if you want to be mayor of this town, you better be willing to show up every night. That's the first review. Can you be here? Then just ask them, put them in the solicitation. If you put your name in, plan to be at city council, on, probably advise them to be here on Monday the 8th, Tuesday the 9th, Wednesday the 10th, and Thursday the 11th.
So, my next question is then, as a council member seeking the position, I would turn in an application and you would assign the time I show up in front of council? Is that how we would do that? Because as well as the other council members seeking that position?
I don't know that I'd be comfortable assigning the date and time and determining who gets to be interviewed. I mean, off the top of my head, I'm thinking, yeah.
How the process would work.
Off the top of my head, I'm thinking, we establish some kind of I can work with Betty unless she thinks that, and here we get back to the same, how do we work with staff that we don't have to, but maybe we can figure that out. I'm sure we can. And, we establish some kind of a cutoff of, Monday at noon, whatever applications we've got, that batch goes out to council, and then that night, council can, I think there's probably a better way to do it, but off the top of my head, council can go around the table and, we start with Trent and say, trend, you get to pick the first person we interview, and then we go to John, we go to Josh, we go to me, and we interview 7 the first night, come back, and, you know, at noon on Tuesday, Betty and I take whatever applications we've been, and we just let that pile accumulate, and each night we do as many as 7 unless somebody wants to take a pass, and by the time we get to Thursday, hopefully you know who you want to vote for, and, you know, if somebody wants to call somebody back for a second follow-up interview. I mean,
Do we intend to interview every single person that applies? Because I know there's people that have expressed interest that may not be qualified. So I think it's a waste of everyone's time. Yeah, I mean, if we look at the resume and the application, and we can wash them out, it's not worth doing it. Is that something we can do in executive session as a resume screen? Or should we?
I don't think we could do it in
Or should
executive
the
session.
committee do the resume screen?
I'd be pretty uncomfortable whether it's me acting as mayor in my capacity as mayor pro tem, or even as part of a committee of council members to make the unilateral decision that somebody's not to be considered by council. And, you know, we could do the round robin thing where each council member chooses who they want to hear from, and that would, I think, in and of itself, screen out people who, you know, if no council member thought they were qualified, then it would probably say they don't have the qualifications. Or if council wants to, you know, when we get together that first night, say, you know, of the batch that we've got, I move that, you know, we remove these people from consideration, or in the reverse, we move, you know, we specifically name these people as, you know, eligible for further consideration, or, you know, council's desire. I mean, so we could do something like that. There's, not that it's uncharted territory, but there's very few rules about how council goes about that. I mean, we could just flip a coin or do bingo or something and just appoint whoever comes out.
The 37th person that applies.
Yeah.